What's going on, guys, and welcome to Who to Sign For. Now in this series I'm giving you my recommendations on what players to sign for a specific team in career mode. But before we go on, I will say that the signings you'll see aren't designed to be realistic, and I can't stress that enough, and that the player ratings and potentials of the players may vary depending on what database you're using and how they perform for you during the season. Obviously you don't have to follow all the tips. This is really just a set of guidelines to give you a hand if you're stuck for ideas and want some suggestions on what players you could sign for a certain club. This is mainly aimed at those of you out there who may be new to the game and just need a little bit of advice, or for those of you out there who just want a few recommendations on what players you could sign for a team that you may be using in career mode this year. So yes, in today's episode of Who to Sign For, guys, we're going to take a look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Manchester United. Yes, the Red Devils of Old Trafford, who have undergone just an incredible timeline since Sir Alex Ferguson's retirement. They've gone from David Moyes to Louis van Gaal to Jose Mourinho, now a club icon in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in charge of the Red Devils. It's been an interesting journey for Manchester United over the past decade or so. Their last Premier League title, of course, coming in 2012, 2013. Since then, they've tried to form a new identity. They've brought through some very decent young players in the likes of Marcus Rashford and Mason Greenwood, for example. And of course, we know this season, spending some big bucks, bringing in Jadon Sancho, Rafael Varane, and need we also forget about Cristiano Ronaldo coming back as well, one of the greatest players of all time, now back at Old Trafford. Now, Manchester United start with a big budget in the game. It's one of the biggest. It's around £175 million, and their team is a 5-star side as well. It's a fantastic team. And in the first season, it's no surprise that the board asks you to win the treble. Yeah, in your first season at Old Trafford, there's no welcoming period. There's no grace period. No, you're literally asked to win everything in the very first season. And you ask the question, is that possible with this Manchester United side? Yes. Is it going to be tough? Oh, absolutely, no doubt about it. Again, it's a really good side. There's no doubt about it. There is some decent young talent here. They've got some really decent young players coming through. Again, Rashford and Greenwood becoming regulars in the first team. Scott McTominay as well. It's certainly a very decent team. But if you are going to win a treble, it's going to need some improvement. And there are a couple of areas where the improvement is sort of already shown to you what you need to do. I would definitely say, as I run you through the squad here, that going forward, this Manchester United side has no problems whatsoever. You got one of the greatest forwards in all time in Cristiano Ronaldo. You got Jadon Sancho coming in from Borussia Dortmund. When you've got Edison Cavani on the bench, that says a lot about the firepower that Manchester United possess. However, it's at the back where the Red Devils look a little bit shaky. Now, they've got several players with their deals up come the end of the year, and some noteworthy players as well, such as Paul Pogba, no one bigger than him, Juan Mata, Jesse Lingard, Eric Bailly, and also the Uruguayan Cavani as well. Personally, I'd only give 2 contracts. One would be to Dylan Solksjaer, he is a young Dutch talent, and also Paul Pogba as well, the French midfielder. Lots of question marks on his future for, well, it seems like forever since he came back to Old Trafford, but I will keep him here at 87 rated and keep him as part of your midfield. I put 5 names on the shortlist as well: Juan Mata, Nemanja Matic, Phil Jones, Jesse Lingard, and also Eric Bailly, the Ivorian as well. Most of which were their deals that come the end of the year, but also Phil Jones as well. The time has come for Phil Jones to finally move on from Manchester United. But in terms of new signings with the Red Devils, well, I mentioned earlier, defensively they are a little bit shaky at the back, as we know, and they could definitely do with some improvement and some more defensive stability. Now, I would recommend a new midfielder to play alongside Paul Pogba, someone that's very, very hard working on the defensive end and is a step up from your current options right now at McTominay, Fred, Matic, and also Van der Beek as well. 3 names I'd recommend. One player who I've been such a massive fan of ever since he came to the Premier League, Wilfred Ndidi from Leicester, Nicolo Barella, of course, of Inter Milan as well, and also Federico Valverde of Real Madrid. All 3 of these players will cost you quite a lot of money, but the cheapest of which is probably Valverde. You can get him for around 55 to 60 million pounds, which really, for a player of his quality and his young age of 22 as well, would be an absolute bargain. So we negotiated the 3 deals with all clubs here. It was personal preference as to who I wanted. In the end, I opted for Valverde. I think Ndidi is probably the best fit for the Red Devils, but Valverde certainly isn't a bad second option as well. So we signed the Uruguayan for £60 million from Real Madrid. He's already 83 overall, but just 22 years old. He's got the high work rates, which I absolutely love, 86 stamina, some very good passing stats, and a decent defender as well. A really good player to sit alongside Paul Pogba as part of your midfield duo. I think Valverde is a fabulous player, and he'll certainly improve the team now and also going forward as well. Don't forget the guy's just 22 years old, so he's only going to get better, and he grows to 89 overall. So with dynamic potential, there's no reason you can't get this guy into the 90s. For £60 million, that's an absolute bargain. So in terms of sales, again, I had 5 names on the shortlist. I definitely would sell Eric Bailly. He's a really physically strong centre-half. He's pretty decent on his day, but at 79 overall and now 27 years old, you can get younger and you can get better. With his contract up come the end of the year, I would definitely look to cash in and not give the Ivorian a new deal. You can get around 15 to 16 million for him. We got 15.6 mil from Spurs as he went to London, and that's not a bad sale there for a player in the final year of his contract, especially because, as I mentioned earlier, the Red Devils can at times appear a little bit shaky at the back. What you want to do is strengthen the back four and have a protector like we got in Federico Valverde as well. And for a centre-half to play alongside Rafael Varane, well, is there anyone better suited than this guy? Yes, Matthijs de Ligt, formerly of Ajax, now at Juventus. We signed him for £95 million plus Phil Jones going to Turin to play at Juventus, and Matthijs de Ligt is the best young centre-back you can buy in the game. He's 85 overall, which means he's one of the best in world football right now, but he's got 90 potential. So with dynamic potential, enough game time, good morale and development as well, this guy can get into the mid-90s and become the best defender in world football in just a few years. He's only 21 years old. He's got the medium-high work rate. He's brilliant defensively and has 93 for strength and jumping already at just 21. So theoretically, this guy's probably going to get 99 for both jumping and strength when he's at full potential. He'll play alongside Rafael Varane as Harry Maguire will take a seat on the bench, and your back line already looks a lot stronger now the Dutch centre-half's in. Yes, it'll cost you around £100 million. It's a ridiculous amount to play for just one player, but again, 21 years old, 85 overall and 90 plus potential. Yeah, I'd say he's definitely worth it. So following that, we sold Juan Mata to Wolves. I did accept a bit for Jesse Lingard. Unfortunately, this one fell through. Mata's a great man of the people, if you will. He's really taken to living in Manchester well, but I'd definitely call time on the Spaniards era at Old Trafford. And also a bit here for Matic from Ajax as well. Another former Chelsea player. Unfortunately, this deal also fell through as well. You might find it can be quite hard to sell quite a few players on your transfers because when you look at their weekly wages, they're incredibly high. So unless they're going to most likely a Premier League side, like in the case of Matic here, a lot of the clubs that put the bids in won't be able to afford the salary of those players. But we did sell Matic in the end for £11.1 million to Arsenal, so he's gone back to London there to play for the Gunners. And also we had a bid here for Spurs for Jesse Lingard of 15.1 mil. So they just bought Eric Bailly off us. Now they want Jesse Lingard as well. I really like Jesse Lingard. I think the guy gets a lot of undeserved criticism and hate at times. He had a brilliant redemption arc at West Ham on loan last year, but I think really he does need to leave Manchester United if he's going to sort of revive his career officially. So he's going back to London after his loan spell at West Ham last year. Now he's gone to Spurs, and again, it's not a bad sale there for a 28-year-old in the final year of his contract. Now the third signing I'd recommend is a new left back, and you might be sitting there thinking, really? You got Luke Shaw, who has had an incredible redemption arc with Manchester United as well. After all the injuries and all the struggles for form, for him to become now a key player with both England and Manchester United as well, fair play for Luke Shaw for getting that sorted. But he's 84 overall with 86 potential, but personally speaking, I'd look to get someone that can become one of the best in world football, and the best left back in the world that you can buy in the game right now, if not Andrew Robertson, is probably this guy if you're looking for potential. Theo Hernandez of AC Milan. This guy is absolute class and my favourite left back in FIFA. Now, like Luke Shaw, he starts off at 84 overall, but he's 3 years younger than the former Southampton left back. He's absolutely rapid, and with high medium work rates and great dribbling stats, 84 crossing, he's a real threat when going forward. If you give him the wide back development plan, that'll improve his stamina and train his defensive work rate from medium to high. And again, Shaw is the same overall, with Hernandez being 3 ratings lower. He gets to 90 overall. So this guy can get into the mid-90s and become the best left back in world football when he's at full potential. If you can sign him and swap out Alex Telles as well, that will soften the transfer fee. Believe me when I tell you, he will be your starting left back for all the years you're at Old Trafford. Absolute machine and amazing creatively when going forward as well. So yeah, after signing Theo Hernandez there, we had just about enough money after season ticket sales to buy a couple more players. I'd recommend filling out your reserves now and getting some decent young talent. I'm a huge fan of this guy. I seem to sign him in all my Who to Sign For episodes. I think he's absolutely brilliant. It's Noni Majuk of PSV. I definitely recommend bringing him back to England. He's a right midfielder but can also play up top. He's absolutely rapid and he's left-footed with a 4-star weak foot and 4-star skills as well. He's the perfect inside forward in this team and absolutely brilliant. Massive fan of the guy, and he has 88 potential as well. And we had just about enough money to bring in one more player as well. Again, it's all about filling the reserves out with some decent young talent after you've brought in your 3 main guys. And the other guy I'd recommend is either Giovanni Reina of Borussia Dortmund or Thiago Almada of Argentina. If you can get Reina, I definitely recommend it. Borussia Dortmund will let him go on the cheap in the games. You can get him for undervaluation if you include a big sell-on clause. That's what we did here, £21 million plus a big sell-on clause. And we just about had enough as well to pay for his very low contract, relatively speaking as well. But this guy's brilliant. Almada is fantastic for the future as well, but as is the son of the American legend Claudio Reina. Giovanni, English born, but represents America as we know. It's crazy to think this guy is just 18 years old. His potential is sky high. He's absolutely brilliant. He's an amazing dribbler of the ball, and he's got 87 potential as well. So yeah, a couple of good young teenage talents there for the reserves in Giovanni Reina with 87 potential and Noni Majuk with 88 potential. So in the end, we sold 4 players for just shy of £50 million. We signed 5 players for £260 million. We really did a good job of selling some of the deadwood and restructuring the wage bill here at Old Trafford. Spent practically every single penny, but the players coming in really improved this first team. De Ligt and Valverde and Hernandez, all 3 going right into the first 11 and really improving the Red Devils' relatively shaky backline. A couple of great talents for the future in Noni Majuk and Giovanni Reina as well. But the question is, after improving this Manchester United side, could we achieve those really tough objectives of winning the treble? I'm surprised in the first season the board want you to win the Champions League, but that was the question posed to me. Could we do it with Manchester United in the first season after all those signings and spending big, 260 million? Well, as you can see, we get to the end of the season, there was no Champions League final, and as I backed out of the simulation, my manager rating was an incredibly low 58. But it certainly wasn't because of the Premier League. As you can see, we dominated the Premier League, 20 points clear of the holders, Manchester City, scoring 102 goals. And like I talked about it earlier, this Red Devils team is going to score and score and score. They are just so good when going forward, and there's very few teams that will be able to keep a clean sheet against them. So we won the Premier League, the first one since the 2012-2013 season. That was not too surprising. Cristiano Ronaldo won the Golden Boot. Bruno Fernandes and Jadon Sancho also got into the top 10 for goals with 15 each. So, yeah, as I mentioned before, with Pogba also chipping in with double digits and winning the assist title as well, it's not a real surprise. We scored over 100 goals in the season, and again, with this Manchester United team, you should be the top scorers year after year. It's just got so much attacking quality. But in the Carabao Cup, Man City won that. We were knocked out in the semi-finals. But we did win the FA Cup. We beat QPR, the Championship side, who went all the way to the final. We beat them in that to win a domestic double. But it is true the Champions League was indeed a failure. Paris Saint-Germain were the winners. We were asked to win it. We were knocked out by the winners in the quarter-final as they captured their first elusive Champions League trophy. But I still sit there and think, it wasn't that bad of a season, was it? I couldn't really work out why my manager rating was so low. I assume because of the youth development and brand exposure objectives being critical, which I didn't pay any attention to as we were never doing these saves. But even so, to be fair to me, I don't think that's a bad season. The manager rating plummeted to 58 overall. Look at Theo Hernandez, by the way. Guys, I'm telling you, if you haven't used this guy in career mode, please spend the money on him. I promise you, you won't regret it. He's absolutely brilliant. 60 games, Iron Man, scoring 8 goals and getting 3 assists as well. De Ligt also grew to 89 overall in the first season too. So when I told you he's worth the money despite costing almost £100 million, that's what I mean. The guy is absolutely brilliant. But yeah, to me, if you were to ask the Red Devils fans if they'd be satisfied with that, Champions League quarter-final, only losing to the eventual winners and a domestic double, pretty sure they'd take that. First Premier League title since 2013 and an FA Cup as well. It's not a bad season. It's not a bad season at all, is it really? So Valverde grew 4 ratings in the first season up to 87 overall. I love the 94 stamina with the high work rate as well. Just the perfect player to play alongside Paul Pogba. Reina grew a couple of ratings to 80 overall. Still only 19 years old. So the future very bright there for the English-born American international. And Noni Majuk only grew 2 ratings to 79 overall. But again, at just 20 years old, plenty of room for this guy to get really good as the years go by and be a future inside forward in this Manchester United team. I want to show you Sancho's stats, by the way. Grew 3 ratings to 90 overall and just 22 years old as well. Reasonably slow start at Old Trafford in the Premier League to start the campaign off, but the former Dortmund winger is still so young and does have a lot of time. You'll notice as well, I converted Mason Greenwood to a striker as well, because I think that is his best position. And also Ronaldo, despite going down by 2 ratings to 89 overall, now 37 years old, still spearheading this elite Manchester United attack. So yeah, great team to use in this year's career mode. A monster, massive transfer budget, a really good side, but it does need some change, particularly in the defense. However, if you can bring in an elite defender, an elite midfielder, and an elite left back as well, I really do believe you can win the treble. We might have come up 1 trophy, sure, but I'd still call this a relatively successful first season with the Red Devils winning a domestic double. But that was this episode of you to sign for, guys. Big fan, coach, if you have enjoyed it. And if you have enjoyed today's episode, then please do drop a like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode of Who to Sign For very soon.